Through millennia, mankind has tried to understand the human body. What does it consist of? How does it work? What happens when the body gets sick? What creates healing? In recent times, we have taken quantum leaps into our understanding of the body's functions, but still many questions remain unanswered. What are the underlying causes of many chronic diseases? What role do genes play when it comes to sickness and health? How is the link between body and mind? And what is the mysterious life force that enables the body to heal itself? Will we ever find answers to these questions? If so, do we need to expand our understanding of reality to find the key? When you cut your finger, a process immediately starts that can almost be described as a miracle. Instantly, the cells around the wound begin to organize a regeneration of tissue. Along with the blood, they form a film protecting against bacteria, while the regeneration process takes place. After a couple of weeks, the wound is almost healed. The tissue has returned to its original shape. Then the finger is whole again, just as good as before. The ability to repair and heal itself is perhaps one of the body's most amazing properties. Without it, we would not live for long. But what manages and controls this property is a question science still can't give any satisfactory explanation for. Today, we have medications and methods that help us combat most of the infectious diseases that killed people in the past. And all the technological advances in surgery and the way we can scan the body are highly impressive. But in principle, all medicine still aims to adjust conditions so that it's easier for the body itself to do the hard part of the job, to eliminate undesirable microorganisms and cells, bringing systems into balance and tissue back to its original shape. So the self-healing powers of the body are as amazing as they are mysterious. And this is one of the reasons why many people believe there must be a larger picture of what the body is and what health really is. A more holistic view of the human being, which encompasses a deeper, wider and longer perspective than our conventional medicine does. A broader view of what creates health.
Og det jo kanskje noe som medisinen I for liten grad har tatt tak I og forstått. Mirakler rundt hva som skaper helse. Vi har jo vært veldig opptatt av patologi, de sykdomsskapende prosessene. Men det helseskapende det først noe de siste årene vi for alvor har begynt å fokusere på.
Ja, jeg tror de fleste mennesker oppfatter kroppen sin mekanisk. Men at det også har en slags idé om at det noe mer. Og det fordi at vi gjennom nå et par generasjoner opplært til at kroppen en mekanisk greie som vi kan skalte og valte med ulike medisiner og verktøy. Jeg tror at de fleste nå begynner å oppfatte at kroppen både kropp, sinn og sjel, eller ånd.
Why have mental health and concepts around soul and spirit been seen as belonging to a completely separate category and not been included in the assessments of treatment of so-called somatic diseases? Has the time come to include, to a larger degree, the non-physical aspects of the human being in the medical picture? Are we too focused on the physical aspect of the body? Is that why we cannot find answers to why many diseases occur? And if microbes or viruses cannot be accorded all the blame, where should we look then? These questions have become even more relevant in light of what has happened over the last 20 to 30 years, when we have seen the emergence of an almost epidemic wave of chronic and degenerative health problems, which have been designated lifestyle diseases. Are there clear links between the modern way of life and these diseases? Unhealthy diets, low levels of physical activity, and poor sleep are often highlighted, but today's medicine still has problems understanding the whole complex web of causes. You can see what happens, you can diagnose it, but cannot explain why it happens. Bad luck, unfortunate circumstances, or perhaps a genetic factor. These are explanations patients are given. We have an impressive selection of drugs that can reduce most symptoms and elevate most discomfort. But do they really cure us?
I dag så bruker vi veldig mye behandling, palliativ behandling, det vil si vi demper smerte, vi demper angst, vi demper det meste, døyver symptomene og døyver. Vi dreper budbringeren, og så hører vi ikke på beskjeden. Og hvis vi skal komme noen vei, så må vi begynne å høre på beskjeden. Det vil si lytte til de symptom som kroppen eller skinnet bringer fram, og så må vi ta det derifra. Og gå til kilden av problemet. Da slipper vi også de selvhelbredende kreftene til, fordi at det blir ikke hindret av kjemi.
We have to be open for the self-healing powers, says the naturopath. Do we listen too little to the body's signals? Or is it that we don't know how to interpret them? Is it all too easy to ask the doctor for a quick fix when problems occur? And can a quick fix with pills and other medications really solve the underlying problem? Or are we just pushing it ahead of us? So we return to the question, what are the underlying causes of many of these diseases? Can the new science in microbiology, called epigenetics, bring us closer to the answer? Epigenetics are concerned with the body's smallest constituents, the cells. We generally see ourselves as individuals, but in reality we consist of a teeming community of 50,000 billion cells. Cells are small amoeba-like organisms which all live their own lives. They take nourishment, secrete toxins, shy away from risks, and perform complex tasks. Cells in muscle tissue, bone tissue, tissue in organs and the digestive system. Neurons and blood cells. An incredibly extensive and inconceivably well-organized system of cells, providing for all the body's functions without us having to give it a thought. The body has over 7,000 times as many cells as there are people on the earth. But unlike all the people on earth, who are mostly concerned about their own needs, all cells work with one common goal in mind, to keep the whole cell society, the body, in the best possible condition at all times, and to keep it alive as long as possible. Every day, millions of cells die in the body as part of a renewal process. Research shows that the oldest cells, with few exceptions, are from 7 to 10 years old, whereas many cells only live a few days or weeks. The outer skin cells, for example, have a lifespan of about 14 days. Which means that an adult's body, even at the age of 80, is a maximum of 10 years old at the cellular level. While cells die, new ones are born by the cell dividing into two identical units. All genetic and programmed features are transferred to the new cell. Everything is precisely copied. It can be called self-regeneration and is, in the same way as the body's self-healing power, a prerequisite for the body to keep going. But research has shown that the functions of the cells are largely influenced by the environment in and around the body. One person who has studied this in depth is the American microbiologist Dr. Bruce Lipton. He explains what happened when he took sick cells out of a body to observe them.
If I took the cells out of the body and put them into the petri dish separate from the body, the cells would grow and flourish if I provided the right environment. So basically said, well, what was the issue? When the cells were in the bad environment inside the body, then they became unhealthy as a complement to the unhealthy environment. If I then took the cells out of the body and put it into a fresh environment, it would then recover and become healthy. So the cells are always adapting at every minute to whatever changes in the environment.
Cells adapt constantly to changes in the environment, says Dr. Lipton. But how can this happen? As we know, the cell's nucleus contains the DNA molecule with the body's genetic material. And the DNA helix, as it is called, contains about 25,000 genes. And each of these genes, or combinations of genes, is connected to a function in the body. The body's millions of different functions and systems are controlled by genes turning on or off. It used to be believed that the predetermined program of the genes could not be changed, and that these programs alone controlled all the functions of the body. In this way, some diseases were regarded as being genetically determined from birth. Epigenetics has shown something else.
Genes are strictly blueprints. They don't have the ability to turn themselves on and off or control even themselves. So basically, the entire belief that genes were self-actualizing, that they were creating the control, is totally false. That you have to have something else read the genes. You have to have something else select which genes are going to be read. So therefore, we move from focusing on the genes as to what is it that controls these genes. Well, when we follow that pathway, we find that it's the information from the environment that is interpreted by the cell that is then turned into the control of genes. So this is why I can have genetically identical cells in different environments. And in one environment they'll form muscle, in another they'll form bone, in another they'll form fat. Same cells in each petri dish. It's only the environment that's different. Well, when we understand the environmental signals are controlling gene activity, then we understand about humans. The nervous system of the human is what reads the environmental information, and through the interpretation of what's going on in the environment, the nervous system sends signals to the cells, and these signals control the genes. So rather than emphasizing gene control, what we're recognizing is our response to the environment is what is controlling the genes.
This research shows that our response to the environment around us and in us has significantly more far-reaching consequences than previously thought. An extensive American study published in 2005, the so-called ACE study, examined the association between painful and difficult childhood experiences and the risk of somatic or bodily diseases in adulthood. 18,000 people were involved, and the study showed a clear statistical measurable link. People with painful childhood experiences had a tendency to become more ill as adults. Research has therefore proved that the efficiency of the white blood cells and the immune system is hampered by experiences that are a shock to the body. How can this be related to the development of more serious diseases? The late English psychologist and researcher Dr. Jill Edwards states in her book Awareness Medicine in 2011, "Every thought we think gives resonance in the communication system of the connective tissue. Thoughts turn genes on and off, producing either stress reactions or healing reactions. A concern over an unsolved problem, a bad feeling, or fear for any future outcome could trigger a chronic stress response, which affects the cells for prolonged periods. If this response does not decrease, your body may react by developing symptoms of disease." In the same way, good feelings and warm thoughts create a relaxation response in the cells. The HeartMath Institute in the US has for over 30 years conducted research, in particular on emotions and their effect on the physical body. One study showed that when a person was focusing on positive emotions such as love, joy, and gratitude, the DNA string in that person's cells reacted by straightening the strands. Similarly, with negative emotions such as fear, anger, guilt, or frustration, the DNA string tightened and decreased in length. Some of the genes were also opened or closed. The study showed a clear link between the cell's DNA and our emotional and mental state. But the big question then rises, what kind of interface are we talking about here? How does this exchange of information between the non-physical and the physical happen? Have we entered into an impasse when we look at this in the general scientific perspective? Should we focus instead on the new science which describes what is smaller than the smallest, the science of quantum physics? As early as in the beginning of the 1900s, science began to grasp what was going on inside the atom, which up till then had been defined as the smallest material component. Physicists like Einstein and Bohr, and later Heisenberg and Schrödinger, among others, made discoveries that would shake up the materialistic view of reality. If you go deep enough into matter, into the subatomic, it dissolves into tiny spinning fields of electromagnetic tension or vortices of energy spin. And when these vortices of energy bind to each other in a hierarchical structure as atoms, and further as molecules and molecular groups, our senses will experience it as matter. Is matter then just a kind of electromagnetic illusion?
The particles that we call electrons and protons are not material entities. They are systems of spinning energy. And the spin creates all the properties of materiality. In other words, the inertia of mass, the extension in 3 dimensions that we experience in matter and space, the force fields of electric charge, magnetism and gravity can all be explained by this vortex motion.
Reality is not bits of matter. Reality is information embedding energy, creating complexity, creating the drive toward evolution.
With quantum physics came the understanding that we live in a universe built of 2 basic components, energy and information. Information organizes energy in structures which in turn form our elements. Matter is thus, in its basic nature, electromagnetic, but appears to be solid in the physical world. But the new physics also show that there is a subtle energy field that binds everything together and enables communication between energy structures, even over long distances. One of the experiments confirming this was carried out by the HeartMath Institute. It showed that it was possible to influence other people's DNA with the mind over a distance from one laboratory room to another. The discovery of this quantum field and this form of non-physical communication has been groundbreaking for physics, in that it contributes to engendering a whole new understanding of our reality.
The information physicists refer to as the field. It's not physical, it's not tangible, but it is very influential in the material realm. Albert Einstein's, a very famous quote attributed to Albert Einstein is, "The field," which represents the invisible world, he said, "The field is the sole governing agency of the particle." The particle is the physical world. So what Einstein was talking about in regard to quantum physics is the invisible world is the primary shaper of the physical world. Well, this becomes a problem in a world where you only focus, like medicine, on the physical body. Because what about the influence of that field, which includes consciousness? If you leave the consciousness, mind, out of the equation, you will never understand the nature of human biology.
But what is consciousness? Currently, we have two prevailing views. There is the general scientific view, which says that consciousness is something that occurs in the brain at the end of the embryonic stage, as a product of chemistry and electrical tensions. The second view defines consciousness radically different.
I define consciousness as the ground of existence. And by existence, I don't mean anything mystical. Everything that exists, the ground of existence. So, there has to be some ultimate reality. How do I have an image in my mind? If I close my eyes and imagine a sunset, I see it. Where is the image? Okay, where is the color? No explanation. It's called the hard problem in science. I think the hard problem exists because we're looking in the wrong place. We're looking at molecules to explain who we are, when who we are is the one that creates the molecules. It's the other way around.
So, the new physics defines a quantum field. And as we have heard, several scientists, Albert Einstein included, believe this is what creates matter. It is believed that the field therefore consists of two main components, energy and information. But if this, taken together, can be defined as pure consciousness, that is, intelligent, creative consciousness, can we equate this consciousness with the life force? Are they one and the same thing? Are we here really touching one of the deepest existential questions? Is a consequence of this that we can regard everything in an energetic perspective? And will it, from an energetic perspective, be easier to understand both body, mind, and health? Can it explain how emotions, as pure energy waves, can open and close genes? Is it, as epigenetics says, that we through our conscious and subconscious systems also indirectly control our immune system and the body's self-healing abilities? Can this help us to also understand one of medicine's really big and frustrating gray areas, the so-called placebo effect?
And even in fact, when they don't want to express that the mind is involved, science has to recognize, because it's a fact, that 1/3 of all medical healings is due to something called the placebo effect. And the placebo effect is a belief system. It's the belief of the patient that heals them, not the drugs or the surgery of the medical profession. Well, if we recognize 1/3 of all healing is due to the mind, which is an invisible force, which is related to consciousness, we recognize that fact. Why is it so difficult for us to take that as a foundational fact and then start building a science on what this is all about?
For when people are giving mock pills, but are told it is medicine, 30% are cured as if they had taken proper medicine. Is it the energy from faith that stimulates the body's self-healing ability?
Now, to me, this is the most important fact. Yes, people know about the placebo effect. Positive thinking ends up with a positive response. What they don't know is something called the nocebo effect. Negative thinking is equally powerful to positive thinking, but works in the opposite direction. So as much as a positive thought can be used to heal me in the placebo effect, the negative thought can kill me, and this has been demonstrated. And so the reality is, it's not just positive thinking or negative thinking, it's the power of thinking, period. And the mind will manifest whatever the thoughts are. A positive thought will manifest health. A negative thought can cause cancer. A negative thought can cause disease. A negative thought can kill you with the same power.
The mind can manifest what we think, says Dr. Lipton. Is the placebo effect the result of direct communication in the quantum field between thought and life force? And if it is, can this also bring us closer to an understanding of phenomena such as healing that some practitioners have indisputably demonstrated? And by being signed into this quantum field, Can this also explain phenomena such as intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance, and so-called synchronicity or meaningful coincidence? Is the placebo effect only one side of a powerful ability we have, but for the moment do not understand?
Placeboeffekten er den mest utskjelte, fantastiske kraft som finnes. Den har fått et negativt uttrykk fordi at den kommer i konkurranse med medisinen. Placeboeffekten er bevist sterkere enn enhver medisin. Den korresponderer direkte med livskraften. Direkte. Det er altså naturens egen måte å helbrede på og bringe balanse tilbake i kroppen.
If it's the case that the placebo effect corresponds with the life force itself, what then with research on the placebo effect as a valuable new beneficial factor in medicine?
In fact, it's not a very difficult endeavor. The biggest problem is we have an industry called the pharmaceutical industry. And the pharmaceutical industry sells chemicals and drugs. And they want to use the chemicals and drugs to affect the chemicals and genes of the body. If you come into a world where a corporation makes all its money on chemicals and drugs, and you tell them, we don't need the chemicals and drugs, we can heal it with the mind, they will be the last people to come into that realm and accept it because it undermines the entire corporate business policy. And this is the issue we're facing today, is that because of the influence of the pharmaceutical industry, we are not looking at the role of the mind and the role of consciousness, which quantum physicists tell us is primary. And so we're closing our eyes to a known scientific reality.
Or are we closing our eyes to a new scientific reality because commercial interests want it otherwise? Is it money and positions that control research more than the scientists' basic curiosity? Is this also a part of the total medical picture? But one person who did do research on this was psychologist Dr. Jill Edwards. She also believed that it was not the physical body that carries a disease, but the energetic body, where we store our typical beliefs, attitudes, and emotional states. She claimed that the body is encased and embedded in a kind of energetic template or enclosure for the physical body. The cells refer to this template when they develop and organize tissue structures. This is also where the self-healing forces are generated and coordinated, she said. The idea that we carry an energetic model of the physical manifestation in us and around us as a kind of a reference template for the body is also present in the world's oldest known health system, the Ayurvedic medicine. Ayurveda is Sanskrit and means knowledge of life. The more than 7,000-year-old Ayurvedic medicine originated in India and has been the basis for much of the Oriental medicine. Its view of the human body is based on experience of how we work energetically. The life force prana is central to Ayurvedic medicine and means absolute power. This is the mystical power that exists in all living organisms, says the Ayurvedic tradition. It's in air, in water, in food, and in the physical body. Prana can be experienced and felt, but without being seen. This medicine is concerned with the person's basic constitution and which parts of the life energy that are out of balance. The understanding of human differences and the uniqueness of each person is also a major facet of Ayurveda, which distinguishes it from Western health systems. A key tenet of Oriental medicine is also how this vital life force is seen as the origin of these energies. This acts as a high-frequency oscillation, which is transformed into various lower frequencies through the 7 chakras. The chakras are described as spinning wheels or vortices of energy. Each chakra is associated with specific organs and functions, where the emotional and the spiritual are also included. All elements are basically tuned and in balance with each other, and act as in unison, where everything affects everything. Everything communicates with everything. The principle states that when imbalances occur in energy systems or energy flow is reduced or blocked, it can be compared to debris clogging a river or a kink in a garden hose. The energy flow throughout the system is affected. The causes of imbalances, flow reduction or blockages can be on several levels: the physical, the mental, the emotional, or the spiritual. Unless the balance is restored or the blockage removed, says energy medicine, the physical body will, after a time, send a message in its own way by developing a disease or disease symptom. And even if chemical drugs are used to curb the system on the physical level, this will not necessarily rectify the energy imbalance. It can still persist in the energetic body. Once the causes of imbalances are mapped, different measures and methods can make energies flow again and put the energetic body back into balance. In this way, the physical body will also be cured, says energy medicine. When, for example, surgery removes unwanted cells or tumors from tissue, the problem often returns after a time. Could this mean that the cause of the uncontrolled cell growth is still in place in the energetic body, and only when this is healed will the physical manifestation disappear? The various energy therapeutic methods are therefore in principle aimed at unclogging blockages and stimulating energy flow, so that the body's self-healing powers can have greater impact. Today, so-called complementary medicine has a variety of treatment methods working on different levels, but to a great extent working on the same basic energy principles.
Og utenfor helsevesenet så tror jeg at feltet energimedisin kommer til å fortsette å vokse med stormskritt nå i årene som kommer.
But what about the physical things we traditionally associate with health, like diets, things which currently engage people more and more? How does this fit into the picture?
Stopp! Er du gæren? Du skal jo fylle diesel, ikke bensin. Du ødelegger hele motoren.
It's almost a paradox that many of us are more concerned about what kind of fuel we fill our car with than what we fuel ourselves with. Food is fuel and building materials, according to our textbooks. It provides the cells with the nutrient substances we need to produce physical energy and maintain the body. We know food as minerals, vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, calories, and so on. But today the picture is more nuanced. We know more about what the diet does to the body and how it affects the body's internal environment. Nevertheless, it's often the taste or availability which largely determine what we eat. The new lifestyle we have taken on board in the past 20 to 30 years and our need for speed and efficiency have given rise to an entirely new food culture. And the food industry and retail chains have helped make industrially fabricated food cheap and available, which has also influenced the overall nutritional content of the food. Much of the food today is fiber deficient, calorie dense, and contains a lot of additives.
Det vi vet solid fra dokumentasjon og forskning som ingen egentlig kan motsi, at der industrialisert mat har kommet inn. Ferdigmat har kommet inn som dominant del av et kosthold, så følger sivilisasjonssykdommene. Det är vist i så många goda studier.
Both extensive American nutrition research and the renowned China study show the impact of modern Western diet. These studies have prompted many nutritionists to sound the alarm.
I dag har vi både prosessert mat, vi har for mye sukker, vi har for mye melk, for mye kjøtt. Det er en hel skog av problemer som rammer oss samtidig.
New theories have ousted old truths. The media have given diet enormous prominence, and new books on diet are launched almost daily. Approximately 70% of our body weight is fluids, and as newborns we are all lightly alkaline in our body fluids. On a pH scale of 1 to 14, where 7 is the neutral point, the pH value in an infant is slightly above 7. This then is the ideal value for the body's cells. But apart from the blood that constantly remains slightly alkaline, the fluids in the body tissues vary in pH. When the pH becomes too acidic, a number of important enzymes cease functioning. The blood and the liver are then no longer able to perform all the hundreds of chemical tasks required to keep your body healthy. The cells are totally dependent on oxygen for their energy production. Healthy people store 90% of the energy of the body with the help of oxygen. We get it primarily through our breathing. It is transported by the blood, which also transports the carbon dioxide and other waste products back to the lungs. The exchange of carbon dioxide with new oxygen must be continuous. Therefore, we draw our breath on average 20,000 times each day and cannot hold our breath for long. But when the body is acidic, cells cannot utilize oxygen in the same way and thus lose much energy and have a shorter lifetime, according to these theories. pH theories also say that when the acidic concentration becomes excessive in the body, it will try to get rid of acid in several ways. But when acidic generation exceeds what the body can handle, it starts depositing excess acid in connective tissue and joints. This in turn may lead to inflammation. Several scientists believe it is here we can find the causes of rheumatic diseases. Osteoporosis is the result of the body taking alkaline calcium from the skeleton to compensate for lingering acidity. In older people who have lived a long time with an acidity level in their bodies that is too high, up to 30% of bone mass may be gone. Many doctors today also agree that too much acid in the body can generate problems over time. But what makes the body acidic? What we eat, drink, and how we think makes the body acidic. Negative mindsets and emotional trauma and stress produce acidification. Blockages in the energy systems produce acidification. In addition, diet also plays a significant role.
Vi spiser alt for mye syredannende mat. Mange mener at vi burde i alle fall spise 80% basismat og 20% syredannende mat. Det på en måte et velbalansert kosthold.
Experts agree that sugar, first and foremost, or foods that convert to sugar, like flour, are what generate most acid. It's also called fast carbohydrates, and are in addition regarded as one of the main causes of obesity. Sugar consumption among Norwegians increased from 4 kilos per year in 1950 to over 40 kilos in year 2000. In 50 years, a tenfold increase. Sugars of all varieties are marketed with great intensity. Even filling stations earn more from selling sugar products than from selling their primary products. Soda drinks are also highly acid-forming. Cola drinks have a pH of down to 2.5 and is one of the most acidic products one can consume. The combination of soft drinks, fast food, and candy generates large amounts of acid and constitutes a heavy load for the body's systems, according to these theories.
Vi får i oss alle for mye raske karbohydrater, som bidrar til å gi oss et ubalansert blodsukker. Vi trenger karbohydrater, men vi trenger de riktige karbohydratene, og det de langsomme og de lavglykemiske vi skal ha.
Dairy products have traditionally been considered the best source of calcium and have been regarded as core healthy. Several recent studies show otherwise.
Dette med at melkefettet har en veldig åreforkalkende effekt på oss, det jo kjent fra langt tilbake, at dette klogger opp blodårene våre. En annen ting som kanskje ikke like kjent, at melkeproteinet, som består av ca. 90% kasein, ekstremt kreftfremkallende ut ifra mange studier.
Public opinion has long held that we obtain protein best from red meat. However, the comprehensive research report entitled The China Study concluded that consuming too much red meat is directly harmful. This study, which covered a period over 20 years and included several thousand people, showed that those who ate the most animal-based foods got the most chronic diseases.
En av grunnene til at kjøtt ikke gunstig for oss har nok mye å gjøre med at det veldig syredannende og bidrar til å retinere og skape et surt miljø i kroppen vår. Så vi får i oss på en måte syre i så mange forskjellige former at det et stort problem. Og det kjøttet bidrar i denne sammenhengen ganske kraftig.
Today, official nutrition regulations recommend reducing meat meals to 2 days a week. Another factor is that meat production itself scores very badly on an environmentally friendly scale compared with the production of plant-based foods. Studies show that the utilization rate of nutrients from plants when they are consumed through animal meat is only around 5% compared with eating plants directly. In addition, the animals themselves often live in and are slaughtered under stressful and definitely not animal-friendly conditions.
Så jeg mener at man bør tilstrebe å ha en diett, om ikke helt fri for kjøtt og melk, så i alle fall et kraftig redusert forbruk i forhold til hva vi vant med.
A quick way to get an indication of the state of the body's internal environment is to study blood cells. Magnified some 1,000 times, the blood looks like this.
Dette her da de røde blodcellene som vi har i kroppen. Og du ser at her kleber de seg litt sammen. Og så ser du den lille greia her som ser ut som en amøbe, det den hvite. Så det vi ønsker det at den væska her, den skal være klar og fin. Og vi tror at når blodet ser bra ut, at alle blodcellene ligger fritt hver for seg og i en klar væske, så vil også de andre cellene i kroppen ha det like fint.
It's believed that the shape of the red blood cells tells a lot about the health status of all the other cells in the body, while the number and quality of white blood cells tell us something about the state and quality of the immune system. There are some tiny particles inside the white blood cell here, which are moving just a little. So the white blood cell collects waste materials located in the liquid.
Well, when you're looking at live blood, you're looking at the river of life. And when you're looking at the river of life, you're going to see both good and you're going to see both bad. But the main thing, you're going to see how your lifestyle, your diet, and your thought processes impact the most important organ in the human body, and that's the blood. And in looking at the blood, then, you're going to see healthy cells or unhealthy cells. You're going to see cellular debris. I mean, you can see bacteria, and this is, or even yeast, and this is a result of what you're eating, what you're drinking, and how you're thinking.
When it comes to what kind of diet provides a good environment for the body's cells, most experts agree that a diet with an emphasis on vegetables and fruit is the very best. Supplemented with berries and nuts, and also plant and fish oils, we get all the nutrients the body needs. Most vegetables are also alkaline and help to balance out the acid in the body. And according to energy medicine, vegetables and fruits in their raw form, so-called living foods, contain large doses of vitality that the body can utilize. Sprouts, in particular, contain large amounts of this energy and are therefore considered one of the most vitalizing types of food one can eat. In addition, they contain lots of protein, which according to the China study is considerably easier for the body to utilize than animal protein. Budding wheatgrass is also saturated with this form of energy and is therefore reckoned to be especially vitalizing, in addition to being rich with nutrients. Moreover, it's easy to grow at home. However, living foods lose valuable life force when heated over 45 degrees centigrade. The life force in food is usually tied to the enzymes, which are important catalysts in the essential chemical reactions in the body, and they do not survive 45 degrees centigrade.
Enzymes are literally the way your electric body continues to get electric. It's almost like finding a socket in a wall you put the plug into. And until you get those enzymes in the body, you slowly fade and you age prematurely. And as you're lowering electrical frequencies within the body, you're more vulnerable to every known disease. Once you cook a food, all of those are gone. These are really the important elements of the 21st century. Of course, you also get the highest level of proteins. This diet is the highest protein-rich diet on the planet Earth, the highest level of calcium, and all the other elements that we know about, minerals, etc. But most important for premature aging being prevented and disease being prevented and eliminated is the use of raw organic vegan food.
The raw food restaurant trend is a response to all this. Today there is a growing awareness in the impact of this type of food, and the supply of good raw materials has also increased over the years. The preparation of raw food that really tastes good has become a new branch of our culture.
Det raw food som det optimale. Hvis man spiser grønt uten varmebehandling, og da får du alt det du trenger. Det eneste som kan komme til å mangle litt på vinteren, det D-vitaminer. Det morsomme det at verdens sunneste kosthold, det også det enkleste.
The demand for organically grown foods is increasing because people want to avoid pollution from pesticides and other chemicals. Moreover, the concentration of nutrients is often higher in these foods. Many people have returned to the tradition to growing their own organic food. Even on a small plot of land, you can have an abundant vegetable garden with superior products, a valuable and healthy addition to your family's diet.
Vi spiser blader og blomster rett fra naturen, vi. Det smaker veldig godt.
Water is just as important to the body as food. As we have already said, the body consists of 70% liquid, mostly water. Studies show that water also has many special energetic properties. Water from waterworks is often acidic, with a pH lower than 6. Ideally, the water should be revitalized after it has stood still for a long period in water pipes and made basic before we drink it. The research done by Japanese Dr. Masaru Emoto has given astonishing results. He believed he could prove that water has memory and can respond to our thoughts and feelings. Dr. Emoto explains that the molecular structure of water is changed by the influence of thoughts and words. So the water forms different patterns when the water droplet freezes to ice crystals. A negatively charged word can evoke such a pattern, while words with love produce these types of crystals. The experiments have been repeated countless times with the same results. Is Dr. Emoto's research another confirmation that how we think and feel can directly influence our inner environment? A commonly used analogy of the body's internal environment is the fish in the bowl. To start with, the water is clean. When we throw in too much food or the wrong food, which the fish cannot utilize, it will eventually swim around in a soup of rotten foods and also perhaps fungi, algae, and bacteria. Then one day the fish is seen struggling with its belly up. What should we do? Should we medicate the fish to curb the symptoms? Or should we change the water? So if we make sure that the body cells surround themselves with a fresh interior environment, will they also thrive as a fish in the water? By consuming more living foods, will we then clear the way for the self-healing powers so they can become more effective? And is, all in all, our relationship to food a highly underestimated factor in our medicine? So the health effect of diet can be defined on several levels. On the physical as nutrients and calories, in relation to pH values as degrees of acid and base, and on the energetic level as a way to retrieve vitality and vital energy. And perhaps also there is a psychological effect to the meal itself. All these factors play a part in determining the body's internal environment and the cell's well-being. This will also apply to other things that affect the body. Vaccines have long been debated, particularly because of the number of unforeseen side effects. How does vaccine affect the body's chemistry and energy systems? Different types of pollution in our daily environment also affect us. A recent Swedish study showed over 200 foreign chemicals in the blood of 60-year-olds. It is believed that, among other things, the rise of allergies has a clear connection with this. How the energy fields that surround us everywhere affect the body's subtle energies is still a big question. Several studies have shown an alarming development in relation to diseases like cancer. Other factors that affect our health include how we use our bodies and to what sort of physical exercise and exertions we subject our bodies. We know that training and exercise have a significant impact on health and well-being. We breathe in more oxygen and stimulate the circulation of body fluids and cleaning systems. Sleep and rest restitute the body's energy fields, bringing the hormones into balance and helping to neutralize the body's pH. Getting enough sleep is often difficult with today's lifestyle, and studies show that sleep loss contributes to acidification of the body and can over time cause lifestyle diseases. Eastern traditions have taught us meditation, yoga, and relaxation exercises, all of which stimulate our self-healing powers. Physical and mental blockages can dissolve, the immune system is strengthened, and one can experience deep relaxation. These techniques are used today more and more to achieve greater mindfulness and to free people from stress, anxiety, and tension. So all these things combined influence the body's internal environment, and thus the body's ability to heal and maintain itself. Therefore, we must ask, based on what we know today about the new sciences, about the subtle energies, about the links that tell us that everything is connected, about diet and other physical factors, where is the future of medicine heading? Will medicine in the future build on this expanded understanding of reality? Will the future of medicine be directed more towards exploring the body's self-healing powers and the body's energy systems? Will we look at diet and other physical factors in a more comprehensive, holistic perspective? Can this new understanding contribute to an increased focus on preventive measures and thus save future healthcare huge costs? Will each and every one of us also take on a greater responsibility for our own health through learning to see our bodies in a new way? Through millennia, mankind has tried to understand the human body. Hippocrates, the father of medical science, who lived 400 years BC, said, "It's more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has." Today we have taken a quantum leap with epigenetics, quantum physics, an expanded energy understanding, a new perspective on diet, and deeper insight into how the body, mind, and spirit not only interrelate, but belong together as simultaneous phenomena. We have opened the door to a new landscape, where the underlying causes of disease and health problems can be seen in the context of the whole person, a human being more than just a biochemical machine. Is science on its way towards a new medical era? Are we seeing the outlines of a new paradigm, the door to a living health? Are we really on track in our quest for the key?